Coming up on episode 135 of the Behind the Back podcast, we turn to Niners and Eagles camps and what we've gotten so far. Takeaways: the Niners had a joint practice with the Titan. Bren breaks down everything that he heard from there, some injury updates, all that fun stuff. And then we go to Philadelphia. We talk about Jalen Hurts because apparently he's the only quarterback ever to throw an interception. So we talk about that. We talk about Lane Johnson retiring. And we also break down other news that we heard in Eagles camps. And then we make our AFC East and our AFC West predictions as part of our BTB prediction series. So with that being said, y'all, let's get it. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Back podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Marcos Conan Negron, and beside me here, as always, is Ben, the Jet Retz, and beside me right here as well is Elena Simone Conde. Cool, she's joining us. So if you hear any coos in the background, don't mind her. She's just having a good time enjoying the show. So Benny boy, how are you doing on this fine week?
You know, I am in one of the better moods that I've been in a number of weeks because there is actual football being played this week by teams that we love.
Yes, and it's been an amazing ride so far for training camp these first few weeks. These first couple weeks has been great, and that's where we're going to start. As you guys heard in the intro, this is where we're going to start in this jam-packed episode. It's going to be in Niners camp. We can always turn to the injuries if that's where you want to start, but I know you guys had some excitement going down there in San Francisco, so tell me all about it.
Yeah, we'll save the injuries for the back half of this. I'll keep it light here because we do have a packed agenda today, but so the 49ers, they hosted the Titans for, I'll just say, an electric joint practice on Tuesday. I have some takeaways from it, but ultimately, it was a blast to watch all the beat writers from Tennessee and from San Francisco going back and forth and having their own takes on this. Ultimately, the biggest takeaway, the 49ers dominated the Titans. That is what I would expect from this team, from this 49ers team. This is a team who is on a completely different level and should be on a different level than Tennessee. So I liked what I saw in that case. But what was interesting was this practice started off in the first 10 minutes with 4 fights.
I know, that was crazy.
And there was a reported 8 fights in total throughout the entire joint practice.
Love it.
Fred Warner, he was fired up all day, but he was a loud voice to his own team. And he actually was quoted saying, "I brought the guys together and told them, we're not getting through today if we continue on this path. We got to play football. If you end up being on the ground, that means you didn't win your rep." So I take that quote out of it because there's the fights, but ultimately this is probably one of the most passionate guys on the field any given moment. And, he was a part of some of these little scuffles that were going on throughout the day, which I love to see him and Greenlaw just, enforcing their will. But it was good to see him still be fired up all day long, but have the right kind of mindset. And that is what I'm looking for from this 49ers team throughout the preseason and going into this regular season, is what that mindset looks like. They obviously had the agenda on the plate of, we're not going to let some team come in here, whoever the team is, and bully us. We got bullied in our last game of the last season. And we're going to come out here, the very next team that we see, and we're going to enforce our will. So I'm going to be hoping to see more of that on the preseason game on Thursday, today, when this episode's out.
Yeah.
Stoked about it. But some of the positives, quickly get into those. Brock Purdy and Debo, they cooked during the red zone drills. Debo had 3 touchdowns. Purdy was dicing up familiar Rob Saleh-led defense. Fred Warner, like I said, bullied the Titans offense. The secondary for the 49ers came away with some interceptions. Upton South had a pick 6. D-Moke had a pick. Pass rush struggled generating pressure at first without Bosa, but eventually started making some plays, and that was highlighted a lot by Oso Odigizua. So love to see kind of his appearance and his presence make himself known, rather. And Dejon Stribling outplaying Carnell Tate, something that I love to see because I think that Dejon is going to have a pretty extensive role this season.
As he should.
And I think when you look at all the injuries that the 49ers consistently go through, specifically with this wide receiver room, if there's a guy who's likely to step up, barring he stays healthy, it's going to be Dejon Stribling. And it's interesting because he's had a fantastic camp. He's had a wonderful preseason. He's been like one of the most refreshing reports coming out of this whole training camp amongst all the injuries and whatnot. He's consistently healthy and consistently making plays. When you look at that, it's really nice to see. But as you get into the season, we know Kyle Shanahan doesn't like to lean on rookies on his offense. Yeah. So unless his hand is forced, which I could see it being, I don't know how involved he'll be. I would love to say that Shanny would play him like crazy because I think that he deserves to have a pretty good role as a part of this offense, but we'll see. Nonetheless, I do think he'll have a role, and I think that his role will likely grow throughout the season. But love to hear what I'm seeing and everything from Dejon Stribling throughout training camp. Now the negatives. I mentioned Bosa. It's always these injuries. I mean, we had 20 injuries of the 90-man roster at one point. It's not pretty. And one of them, it was reported after the joint practice Tuesday that so Kyle Shanahan hit the podium and he addressed the Bosa injury, and he said that he is dealing with knee tendonitis. In the same knee that he just had surgically repaired. Mind you, this is third ACL tear. Both knees have it. This is a pretty common part of recovering from an ACL surgery and injury. So I'm not overly concerned with that. Where it's concerning is when you take into account how many ACL injuries Nick Bosa's had. So he's on his third one, second one on that knee, obviously. It's
crazy.
It's not great. And then you hear that he's got tendonitis. Well, let's think about the history for a second of the tendonitis issues with the 49ers, just going back to 4 years ago. Dre Greenlaw in the Super Bowl tore his Achilles, was dealing with, in that playoff run, Achilles tendonitis. And then fast forward just a year later, Christian McCaffrey, Achilles tendonitis, was out essentially the whole year. I know he came back and was out for more of a knee thing, but nonetheless, he had to go to freaking Germany just to get, I think it was stem cells put in for, to try and fill the holes. So
crazy.
It's a big deal. And while I want to look at all the reports saying it shouldn't be this big of a deal, it's part of the recovery, you can't help but kind of just bat an extra eye at this. So we'll keep an eye on that because ultimately the pass rush was struggling, like I said, initially to generate pressure against a team that doesn't have the best offensive line.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, like you're going to see a lot of good offensive lines as the 49ers this year. And so if you're not going to be able to rely on Nick Bosa, you got to figure that out quick because you've got a couple free agents out there that have been linked to you already as the 49ers and have also linked themselves to the 49ers. And I would be interested to see if there's a signing there. But ultimately, like I said, 49ers play the Titans today in preseason. Woo-hoo. The Titans are more likely to play more starters than the 49ers. I doubt many starters for the 49ers are going to be playing.
I hope not.
Especially with all the history here. But it sounds like the Titans are going to have a fair amount of starters out there just to kind of get some feel and get some reps. Because this is an overhauled roster in Tennessee right now. There's a lot of new faces from top to bottom. So they've got a lot of reasons to play some of these guys early on. But I'm stoked for it.
Heck yeah, dude. That's always good to hear. Obviously, good news about your rookies and stuff. That's always that's exciting. I'm excited to see if Stribling actually gets a real role. I've been hearing a lot of really good things about him, so I'm glad that that pick is paying off. And instead of the negative comments, you guys have been like, oh, they picked up, they overdrafted him, they picked him way too high. Like instead of those comments, they're like, oh, he's looking like a steal. They're looking like they picked him at the right spot. They got their guys, so that's always good to hear. For Bosa, I'm worried just because I've heard other rumors of I know he's under contract, but he doesn't have any guaranteed money past this year. So then the question is, does he try and take this time to try to get some money on the table? The Niners have the money, but I don't know what they want to spend it on. And, that question is something you guys are going to have to deal with in the future. But it is good to see that the other veterans like Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw are back and kicking and leading the practices the way they should. And I think that will give you guys an edge that, unfortunately, once they went down, just, goes missing. So super excited for you guys. That's awesome news. Did you have any final thoughts on the Niners before we transition here?
Just I love the leadership that I've seen from a lot of these veterans, and especially from Brock. I mean, my guy,
dude, I'm hearing he's good.
He's taking even Grant Cohn himself, who is a certified Purdy hater. That's what I'm going to call him, and he's kind of dubbed himself that at times. He came out the other day. I even sent you the video. He came out and he was even giving Purdy a bit of love before the next day. Purdy threw like 2 picks, had a bad day. But yeah, Purdy is taking a jump, and I love the leadership that he's been instilling in this team while Kyle Shanahan's been out. And I think that last point would be Kyle Shanahan missing some of these practices might actually be the best medicine for Kyle, because we know he likes to do too much. He wants to control at just about everything that he can.
Yeah.
This is a great example of how you can trust. You've hired these guys for certain reasons, like trust them a little bit more. And I'm looking at, a lot of these guys in the coaching staff as having these bigger roles throughout training camp and really stepping up. So I love to see that.
So I have a quick question about Brock. I mean, now that I think what's important too is with the injuries that you guys have had, he's been throwing the ball to, some of the 4th, 5th stringer guys, like the no-name guys.
He loves DeMarcus Robinson.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So those guys he's going to get reps with, because they're probably going to get reps during the season, knowing, just the luck of the 49ers. So the fact that he's performing as well as he is, the fact that he has this complete command of the offense and the system that he's officially, it feels like he's officially mastered at this stage. It will be really exciting to see the kind of jump he takes this year with Mike Evans and with Stribling and Debo back in the fold. The Niners offense, if everyone can stay together, I think will be really fun to watch again this year.
Yeah, if we'll have more conversations as we talk about the record predictions and stuff.
Yes.
Especially for our teams. But I think if the 49ers are going to make some serious noise this year, they need to be like a top 3, top 5 offense.
I think so too.
And they are fully capable of doing that. Granted, they have at least enough health. They don't need to be fully healthy. They really don't. But they have to have enough health for it. And that's kind of going to be my concern throughout the year, as always.
As always, yeah. But I think Brock now has reached that level where he is the focal point, and he has the ability to potentially be the guy who can elevate this team. He gets to take that next step and prove that he is an elevator of this Kyle Shanahan offense. So that's exciting.
Exactly.
Heck yeah, dude. So then we'll go over to Philadelphia. And it's been some interesting news. I mean, the highlight of the day, for some reason, Jalen Hurts threw an interception, and it was national news, as if that was the first quarterback to throw an interception ever. I thought that was hilarious. So
I think it was that, you don't oftentimes see your team's social media, the main social media account, post their, main QB throwing an interception.
Yeah.
But my understanding of it was, it was specifically drawn up so that Q could go make a play.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be kind of a broken or a dummy route for Q and the defense to kind of make that play.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't, I do think it's a highlight of Quinyon Mitchell and how good he is. And the quarterbacks throw picks, and videos circulated throughout the day, because the one that Eagles fans clung on to was this Josh Allen one that got the Bills released yesterday. But it was Josh Allen was, you could tell he threw it, but it only really shows him for a frame. Yeah. And they do those throws all the time when it's the defensive throws. The video starts with the ball midway through the air, so you don't even know who threw it. I think it's dumb how the hype behind it. Emmanuel Acho came out and said someone's gonna get fired over this. I was like, bro, it's just it's just a play in the off season. So besides that, hoopla around the Eagles, because that's the thing. Everyone loves talking about the Eagles, bro. It's still it's still the team that everyone's still hate watching, very, very closely here in the NFC. They're still waiting on the downfall. And this year with the Patriots, it adds that element. Next week, and we're going to be talking about the Patriots in this pod for the predictions, the Eagles and the Patriots have joint practices next week. So the script was written perfectly for A.J. Brown and Quinyon to duke it out. And for Jalen to, go out and show hey, I don't need you, AJ type thing, how this looks against the Patriots. It's in Foxborough too, so it'll be in hostile territory. So how the Eagles kind of approach these upcoming practices next week are going to be really exciting. And I think it's something that kind of all the beat reporters and the players are kind of waiting for, because they have just been going against each other. And for the Eagles offense, it's great, because you're still going up against a top 5 defense every day. And I think that's been the biggest growing point for Jalen Hurts in this offseason so far is learning this new offense. And Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, came out and said, like, Jalen looks great this year. He's like, he looks faster. And I wanted to bring this point up because I thought it was interesting. When you run I thought the correlation between, like, what makes Purdy so good in this Kyle Shanahan offense is his ability to, those first 10 yards is his favorite homer David Lombardi would like to say, or like comparable to Lamar Jackson. Like, quarterbacks who run this Kyle Shanahan-ish offense, not even if they're the most athletic quarterbacks in the planet, like, they need to be able to escape and move with the bootlegs and move with the motions. Like, when you're going to travel with your O-line, you got to keep up. You got to be fast. And with Jalen Hurts, I think the focus this offseason for him was to get slimmer. He's faster. They said he's almost as fast as he's ever been before, which is very interesting to see because these past couple of years, it's felt like he's declined a bit. So that's always exciting news. And it seems like Jalen is grasping the changes, albeit he hasn't had his two top receivers. And that was kind of one of the main points I wanted to get to here was Devontae Smith and Makai Lemon, our rookie, has been missing extended time. They've missed like 5 straight practices now. Up to this point, and both with hamstring injuries. Devontae looks like it's been reported that he's getting pretty close to a return, probably for next week's practices. While Makai Lemon, he's still just kind of working on jug machines. And it seems like he might even be out lingering into the regular season, which is something we want to – maybe they're just being extra precautionary because, you know, you're hearing things about Dontavian Wicks and Elijah Moore and Darius Cooper and Hollywood Brown, like, showing flashes. So maybe they think, like, okay, we don't need Makai right this second. Let's not rush him back. We'll see. But I hate that he's missing these valuable reps. Although Jalen worked with them in the offseason, like got all the receivers together, and that included Makai. So it's not like they're unfamiliar with each other, but it just sucks because you're learning a new offense. So what I've been hearing has been good, but it was just funny, like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
The attention that he gets is, you know, this year the pressure will be on him again. Sucks, you know, whether it's deserved or not. I do think that this will be a fun year for Jalen Hurts to kind of show what he's able to do in a new system. And I still think, like, I don't think we're going to be throwing the ball all over the field. I still think we're going to prioritize the run game to set up the pass, and I think it'll be very much what we saw in like 2024 in that aspect. It'll just be interesting to see how the scheme gives Jalen, you know, the kind of answers what it gives him this year. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, there's a level of don't fix what isn't broken. Right? Like, running the ball with Saquon will work. There's no reason it won't work. I mean, there were times last year where it didn't work, but that was a lot to do with just a shitty Patullo system.
Yes.
This is a little bit different. This is a Mannion system that is going to have a little more spice to it. And so just your standard run play is going to have a little more behind it because it's going to have different looks that are going to be similar to, you know, a wide receiver breaking out and doing different routes. So it's not with the Patullo system, you weren't fooling anybody.
Right.
With the Mannion system, you're likely to fool more people. And so that part of it is a little bit interesting to me. I think that you're going to see, like you said, the Eagles run the ball more, but I think those plays where they decide to air it out, they're really going to air it out and they're going to get yards because they're going to show them the kind of look and set up for those kind of plays. But yeah, Jalen looks great in camp. And there was a funny picture, couple of things. So there was the thing that came out where it's like the years where he has his hands tucked in his collar, they're terrible and they don't do well. And then the years where they're out of the collar, they'll make a Super Bowl run
for photo days.
Yeah. And so this is one of those years. It's an even year, and and Jalen's, you know, got his hands outside of his collar, so things are looking up. But he looks skinnier. Like when you look at the pictures, the team day photos of him from basically since draft day until now, he looks like he's in some of the best shape of his life. And you see some of these videos of him, you know, exploding out of pockets, you know, in some of the individual drills. Like he looks the part. Like he looks healthy, he looks ready. And that's been a part of it too. Like he's been banged up last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think the biggest question mark is not him, it's not the receivers, it's the O-line. And I think, you know, how healthy are they? Can they maintain? I mean, we've already been dealing with some injuries. Jurgens got hurt a little bit. Landon's always a question mark. And Lane, too. I mean, Lane's back, and we have something with him in a second here. But, like, him and Jordan Mailata, they get hurt, like, there's no guarantee that these guys play all 17 games.
Yeah.
And then the attention turns to the backups, which there's been good reports from our rookie, Markel Bell, our third-round pick, the 6'9" guy. Lane Johnson says he's incredible and that he's showing some massive potential, and he's even taking Fred Johnson's spot as swing tackle right now in reps. So he's getting legitimate reps, and so that's something that is good to hear, especially when we talk about the next topic here for Lane Johnson. He came out the other day and said that he will be retiring, that this will be his last year in the NFL, citing multiple reasons, personal mainly, but he believes he's done what he's needed to do, and probably there's still some room on the table for him. He probably could play 2 or 3 more years, but I think where he's at in his life with his family and everything like that, he just feels like he's done enough, and this will be it. So this will be his only year learning the system and trying something new. And he's voiced that he's happy that he isn't going to be on an island every single game, every single play. And I think hopefully the new system helps him. But for him, Eagles legend, one of the last remnants of the 2017 Super Bowl roster.
It's an all-timer, dude.
Yeah, all-timer. He will go down as a Hall of Fame player. Crazy career. Just one of the best to ever do it. Even created the most controversial, false start kickback of all time that, just gets the ultimate pass. So, that's Hall of Fame stuff from Lane Johnson. He will definitely be missed. It's hard. You notice that impact with Jason Kelce. You're going to notice it with freaking Lane Johnson when he's not there anymore.
Dude, I get it. Once Trent decides to hang it up, we're going to be in the same boat.
We're still in this trajectory. It's like our teams.
We really
it's
are.
So funny.
Yeah, Lane had a hell of a career, dude. And I mean, when you talk about the accomplishments, I think it's safe to say he did everything he wanted to do in his career. And I think that this decision has a lot to do with that. So, yeah, shout out to Lane the False Start Johnson. Yeah. We love to see it. Just an all-time player. I think it's really cool. And now you guys have something to kind of rally around to start the year.
Yeah.
It's something, it's like, let's go out and do this thing for Lane. Let's go try and get him one more.
Yeah, for sure. And that's not even just that, too. I think that Lane, he lived up to his status. He was a top 5 pick. For a offensive lineman to go that high, you really have high shoes to fill, and he definitely was able to live up to the expectations that were set for him. And he had great teachers with Jeff Stoutland and different coaches like Andy Reid and Doug Peterson like leading the way for him. And for him to be able to win, that's always so important part. Once you get those titles, it just like makes everything that you do from then on there, it's like an added to your legacy. So it really is good for him to show off that he was one of the best right tackles to ever do it. And that's just cool. I probably will never see another Lane Johnson in my lifetime. And that's weird to say because I also lived through Jason Peters, so I never thought there'd be another one of those guys out there. But Lane Johnson was the next guy after that. So maybe the Eagles get lucky with one of these guys that they end up drafting here. But Eagles news. I mean, it sounds like those guys are really happy with Sean Mannion. They think that he's the way they're talking about him. No one talked about this about Patullo last year. So, that already feels so much better. It feels like Sean Mannion kind of gets it. And coming from a guy who recently was just in a huddle before, he gets that experience, and he seems like he was really passionate about this. And he's there every day earlier than Sirianni. And Sirianni admitted that himself. And so you get a guy who's a demon who's just ready to go to work. And I really like that the Eagles are taking a chance on him. So I feel much more confident in what the offense is at least going to try and bring this year.
I got to say, man, I had to bring it up because we're still technically rivals.
Yeah.
I saw something that Sirianni was using ChatGPT to send emails to the team. And there was something in the ChatGPT, so basically he copied what he got, the response he got from ChatGPT and pasted it into an email. But he also copy and pasted his prompt, and his prompt was basically make my email more motivational. And I was dying. I was dying laughing because Sirianni is the kind of guy who fires people up, but you had to use ChatGPT to write a motivational 4-sentence email to your team.
He makes you feel like you could coach. He makes you feel like you could go out there and coach this team.
Yeah.
In terms of
kind of does
what you need to he has experience in football. He was a dominant D3 wide receiver in college and a wide receiver coach. He gets it. He's been in the league, and he's a better athlete than I'll ever be in my life. But I think that what he brings is just not what your average coach brings.
Yeah, that's true.
is a great leader of men that guys can turn to. And
Yeah.
I think he got through the rocky points and learned his relationship with his quarterback and salvaged what everyone thought was a broken relationship 2 years ago. And now it feels like they're on this. They haven't been more in sync before, you know. And I think I think Jalen has finally kind of grown as a man and as a quarterback with Sirianni, because, you know, as a young guy, he's like, man, this guy's getting in my way almost. It felt like they were button heads, but now that they've both gotten older and experienced more and won together, I do think that Jalen and him have grown this mutual respect for each other. It makes me so. It's just always so funny when I hear these conversations about Sirianni, Jalen both being on the hot seat. I'm like, these two are almost intertwined, in my opinion. I think if one of them goes, I don't see the other one like staying.
Yeah.
So like if they get a new coach, they'll probably get a new quarterback to pair with that coach, and then, you know, and if Jalen, you know, leaves, or if they want to move on from Jalen, then they'll probably say like, all right, Sirianni, new coach. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
I get you.
But I am happy. I'm excited to see what this duo can do for another year. This is this is the most winningest duo since, you know, 2021, since Jalen entered the league. So I think that I'm just excited to see the vibes for both of our teams, despite, you know, injury concerns or whatever. I feel like they're positive.
They're good.
Yeah, they're filling up. So good luck tomorrow. I'm excited to see that, and the
Sir.
Eagles obviously play later on, so it'll be fun. We play the Ravens this weekend before we get to our highly anticipated matchup with the Patriots. So now let's pivot on to the next portion of the BTB prediction series. We're talking about the AFC West and the AFC East in this conversation. So we're going to start in the East because, you know, I feel like this is going to be an easier conversation in the East.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to start with just how we're going to do this. Ben and I, you know, we're making our predictions for the upcoming season, who's going to win these divisions, and then at the end, we're the last week, we're going to make our playoff predictions. As we go through this process, we have come across new information. We come across new information every day.
Mm-hmm.
What we thought we might have had last week or last time we spoke when we made our predictions, they might have shuffled a little bit, right? Just because, you know, maybe an injury here, maybe a clip or two that you saw that you're like, man, maybe I'm buying in, right? So we did that a little bit. So by the end, when we make our playoff predictions, we'll lock in like who we think for sure going to the playoffs. So we'll play around with this a little bit. But let's go talk about the AFC East and what we have here. So when we look at last year in the AFC East, we got the New England Patriots, who were the Super Bowl appearance, the Super Bowl rep in the AFC, 14-3. The Buffalo Bills at 12-5, the Dolphins at 7-10, and the Jets at 3-14. So when we look at the betting odds this year for the AFC East, we got the Bills favored to win at -136, and I actually pulled these odds today, so these are updated odds recent. So the Buffalo Bills are -136, the New England Patriots second, 125, New York Jets at 1,900, and the Miami Dolphins at +4,000. So when we talk about our picks, we're just going to do what we did last week, rattle off our four, and then kind of go our conversation work up from worst to first. I actually think I feel like we're going to be aligned.
I think we are.
I think we are too. So I'll go with mine here. We'll do the AFC East. It'll be, for me, I have the Buffalo Bills winning the division at 12-5. I have the Patriots coming in at 11-6 and second. And we're gonna have a nice conversation about the Patriots, obviously. And then I do have the Jets coming in third at 3-14, and Miami at 3-14. I don't think either of those teams are good.
Wow.
But it's just going to be a rough year for both of those teams.
So I have Miami winning the. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
It's not even close.
I love that.
Yeah. So Buffalo, we are aligned. Buffalo is my division winner at 12-5, and then I got New England at 10-7.
Okay.
So one more loss.
I debated.
And I was between that. So then I have New York 4-13.
Yeah.
And then Miami at 2-15.
Hey, it could happen, honestly.
Casualty.
Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, that's true. Casualty in the exercise. So then let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Dolphins. We have them at the worst.
Yeah.
The Dolphins obviously have gone through a major transition, right? We got new coaches. We got a new quarterback. New
wide receiver room.
Yeah, new wide receiver room. I mean, a lot of everything. I mean, they are starting what is the first of what feels like a major rebuild. Like, they blew it all up. Waddle's gone. Hill's gone. Tua's gone. McDaniel's gone. New coach Jeff Hafley, the former defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers, is here. And Kevin Patullo also joins this offensive staff in the same role that he had with the Eagles, not as the offensive coordinator, but the passing game coordinator. The part of the Eagles' tenure where he was successful, right? But their OC is Bobby Slowick. And Bobby Slowick will be the one calling plays. He was also formerly the OC of Houston. So he's been around for a little bit. So Malik Willis is the new starting quarterback. He was kind of one of the no-name QBs to get kind of big money. He played backup, for Jordan Love last year and had some good moments. So I think that's why they took a chance, right? But I mean, outside of that, they drafted well. They got Caden Proctor, they got Chris Johnson, they got Jacob Rodriguez. I think for building block pieces, they're doing the right things. They don't have the talent needed to win football games. I think that they're going to run into a lot of problems. They'll be scrappy. Achane, if he stays healthy, they'll win games. They'll be competitive, but I don't know how I feel about that.
The Dolphins are going to be fighting for the Cardinals for the number 1 overall pick in 2027.
Yeah.
They are absolutely rebuilding. That is the consensus agreement. Nobody thinks otherwise.
Yeah.
This team is not set to compete in any way, shape, or form. They don't really have a clear wide receiver one. Their secondary is garbage. Jeff Havley's going to have a rough developmental year with the Dolphins. And to me, Malik Willis doesn't feel like a long-term piece for this team. He feels like a bridge year quarterback to get them through and hopefully land their guy in the draft in 2027 or look at a different piece in the future. To me, this just feels like a bridge development season for the Dolphins, and we should be chalking it up to whatever you want to say outside of this team being good in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Dolphins have a lot of work to do, and it's not the future depends on how they keep drafting and what kind of assets they build. Maybe they do flip Malik if he has a decent year, and if they tank and have a bad year, they'll get a good quarterback. They can flip him. Who knows? But there are pivots for them, so let's see how this new era of Miami Dolphins football goes for them. So then we'll talk about the Jets. Moving up, you had them at 4-13 is what you said? I had them 3-14. They finished 3-14 last year. They were awful, obviously. Things really fell apart there for Aaron Glenn, but he maintained his job. They brought in Frank Reich to call plays now, so shout out Frank Reich, former Eagles Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator. Goes in there to lead Geno Smith, who comes back home to New York. Obviously, you've gotten very familiar with Geno Smith over the years. He had a very awful year in LA and Las Vegas last year. Yep. But when we look at this, let's take just a little bit of a look on this Jets offseason, right? They brought in a ton of faces, right? Yep. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Demario Davis, Tavondre Sweat, and David Bailey. They drafted number 2. They got Kenyon Sadiq, Omar Cooper Jr., Daniel Pods. That draft was wonderful. So all of a sudden you look at the Jets and you have Garrett Wilson. They have these pieces now where you're like, okay, we're in rebuild mode, but we feel slightly better than the Dolphins, right? Mm-hmm. Where you have multiple young faces where you're like, if these guys hit, we're going to pay them. They'll be second year contract guys, and we're going to feel really good about where we are in the future. But there's still a lot of questions, and Geno has, if he's Geno of last year, they're not going to be in a good spot quarterback-wise, and it's just going to be another rough year, I think.
Yeah, my whole record revolves around Geno. Geno Smith sucks. I just, there's no way to sugarcoat it, in my opinion. I think unless he has a perfect system like what they were running in Seattle, that was peak Geno. What we saw in Seattle is the absolute peak of what Geno Smith will ever be as a quarterback in the NFL.
That's fair. I think he's
tenfold, 100-fold better than I'd ever be in the NFL, right? But what I'm saying is he doesn't pass the eye test for me. When I watch Geno run the quarterback position, it doesn't feel like he's running the quarterback position. It just feels like he's a turnover waiting to happen, a turnover machine waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And if it's any indication of what it was the first time around with the Jets, he's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a turnover machine. And for me, the Jets won't be able to overcome those mistakes if that happens again. Uh-huh. So a lot of it, lies on this, Reich system and Geno and kind of his ability to run this offense. If they can figure some things out, yes, they've got some pieces. It's going to be a developmental year for this team as well in a different way, but they've got more pieces to work around. It's just a matter of kind of making them work together.
Yeah, if I'm the Jets, I really would hope for just a 4 or 5 win season where Geno's competent in keeping them in every game, but they're not winning and fooling themselves and putting themselves in a bad draft spot. But you get a top 5, top 10 pick while developing some of these young guys. The Jets are definitely retooling, rebuilding. They got a long way to go. And I think the problem with this division now is it really has turned into a very top-heavy division with the next two. And I want to talk about the Patriots because I think this will be the longest conversation of the bunch. Depending on how we feel, but obviously because of the connection to the Eagles this year, it just can't be ignored. So. Yeah. Obviously, this year in particular, I'm a little bit more locked in on the New England Patriots. That rivalry has kind of been that old one from like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's kind of been slowly restoring. You know, these two teams can never really get rid of each other. But Patriots last year, so when we take a look at their offseason, they were 14-3. They made it to the Super Bowl. They overachieved, I think, by every sense of the word. They stumbled to the Super Bowl with Drake May being hurt. They were a Bo Nix ankle injury away from probably losing in the AFC title game, especially if you look at the numbers. Like, the way people talk about Jalen Hurts and his playoff run in 2024 is very similar to the numbers that Drake May did and how the Patriots won and got to the Super Bowl, right?
But everybody loves Drake May.
Right. And but he was playing hurt, so that's why he had 90 yards in the title game, right? So like
because Jalen's never played hurt in the
exactly. So that was it's funny. But what I do want to appreciate about Drake here is that he was second in MVP voting. Yep. In the regular season, he was fantastic. And the weapon, Stephon Diggs, great receiver, got him over 1,000 yards. Kayshon Boutte broke out, and he's looking to continue this year. So when we look at what he had last year, and the schedule, so we can have that conversation, right? But when we look at the roster and what he had last year compared to what he has this year and the changes you made, you add A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, Elijah Vera-Tucker, and you draft Caleb Lomu, and hopefully you're trying to rebuild that offensive line that got destroyed in the Super Bowl, right? Yep. So you look at them on paper, they look better. But then you factor in the schedule. Okay, they had the easiest schedule in 25 years. Now they have the 10th easiest schedule, but I guess by comparison, that's a pretty decent gap, right? Mm-hmm. So they have a tougher schedule, but a better roster. So why do we have them at like 11-6, 10-7? I feel like part of it is just like it's really hard to go 14-3. A lot of things have to go your way, and they already overachieved with kind of, again, the schedule and everything like that. But they are a good team. I think they're a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs. I think if that team is healthy, their defense is solid. I think they have a top 10 level defense. They showed it in the playoffs. That was the only reason they got to the Super Bowl. They were top 5 in everything last year, offense, defense. So if Drake May, the logic is if he was explosive as he was with the receivers that he had last year, I think this core is better. So, I can hate on A.J. Brown all I want, but the expectation is he's going to be the Stephon Diggs replacement delivering over 1,000 yards this year. That's the minimum. He has to do that. Romeo Doubs is going to potentially have way more space with A.J. Brown taking up the coverage. Same with Kayshon Boutte. He can effectively just be that deep threat and continue to do what he does best with Drake May. So the biggest question around this team is how much of the offense does A.J. Brown dictate? That is literally the biggest question for the New England Patriots when we watch them play. Are they funneling? There was a training camp video that came out today of a post-conference with Drake May. He said, well, we're focused about wins. It's not going to be about just one guy. And, it's funny it sounds awfully similar to how the culture of the Philadelphia Eagles was. Oh, it's not about one guy. It's about the team. Like, we're here to win. Obviously, we didn't perform to our standard, but, it's about the wins. That still didn't matter to AJ. And you're going to a team and you're telling it's his childhood team. So, like, you think he's going to cut a little bit of slack, but you already have, he's AJ. He's the same guy. Yep. Like, we can't just magically pretend that he's not the same person. And he wants to be one of the greatest players ever. And in order to do that, you need to put up numbers. And to get numbers, you need to get the ball. And he's going to keep being the same person. So I'm curious to see what does that do to their offense. They'll still probably be really successful, but I'm just curious to see what it does. So that's the biggest question. I think their defense is still going to be the same because they are consistent. The schedule doesn't work against them on a rest disadvantage. They have like
it's a +8.
A +8. So so that's super helpful. That's top 10 at least. So the schedule is going to be tougher, but they'll be fine on rest. They'll be put in advantageous spots. So the biggest question is, can they stay healthy? How much can Drake May take another step? Or is he going to be kind of like what we saw with Dak and with Purdy and with Hurts, where you peaked at that second place, but now it's time you'll drop down to like a consistent level now moving forward? Was that your peak? Was that Jaden Daniels? So that's kind of how I feel about this team.
So I'm going to interrupt you because I think that is the biggest question mark for me is when you talk about the step that Drake May has to take, because there is a step there that he has to take in order for him to be one of the actual top quarterbacks, because we look at the schedule last year, bro, come on. It was a Cinderella cookie cutter. He needs to take a step, another step. And when you're force feeding one player, you're not developing much.
Yeah.
Like you're developing a security blanket in a lot of senses. And so, in my opinion, like if he force feeds AJ Brown for a season, let's say they have a perfect season, they cook, we'll say they win the Super Bowl. Great, awesome.
That's the minimum.
Drake May looks fantastic. AJ Brown goes down for whatever reason, misses the entire next season or misses a lot of the following season, and Drake May's security blanket isn't there. Then he's regressing. Why? Because he's consistently been force feeding the same player, because that same player, yes, while it worked, was also demanding the volume so that he could put up the numbers so that we could all keep the locker room happy. So I think this is like an underrated story that people aren't talking about right now, is like when the beautiful thing about having a super team like Brock Purdy had in his first couple of years was you could pass that bid at anybody. You could pass it to anybody and they were going to cook. He learned in his rookie and sophomore year how to distribute the rock evenly. And now he goes into a season last year where he's got basically 4 wide receivers on a rotation, consistent rotation, and he's distributing the rock amongst DeMarcus Robinson and co. Come on, dude. Like that's the kind of thing I'm focused on is how does Drake May look if he's force feeding the ball to AJ? He's going to look great this year, sure. But second AJ goes down and that system has to change up a little bit. What does it look like?
Right, and I wonder too. My question is like, do they cater to AJ or do they cater to Drake? This is Drake. AJ's entering this, this team. Like it wasn't his. It was Drake's to begin with.
AJ won't let them cater.
So that would be so that's going to be the question, right? That's what I'm real excited for, because I don't feel like he's changed, and I think we were I texted, we were jokingly texting about it. I was like, just wait. We're watching all these clips, and I think that's the other thing too, right? Like you're watching that route he had on Sauce Gardner where he dropped him, but Sauce locked him up the rest of the day, but we didn't see any of that. We only saw the one route. So you have Patriots fans all like, oh, look what we did to the Eagles. Like Eagles fans, you miss him, don't you? Like things like that. And I'm like, no, we don't miss him, because there was a reason we let him go in the first place. There's a reason we wanted him out. Like we already won with him. Like you guys have him. Like you're cool. But I'm so that'll be the underrated storyline of the season is how does AJ Brown's temperament hold when they win a game where they like cook, they dominate, like win 37-15 or 14, and he only had 2 catches that game. There's games where Devontae had 8 catches, 140 yards against the Vikings. Jalen had a perfect passer rating, and AJ caught 2 touchdowns that game, and he still decided to bitch about it. So it's like I'm not convinced that A.J. Brown's just going to be a happy camper. Like, he'll be happy for the first 10 touchdowns, and then while he's waiting on number 11, he'll read a book on the sideline. So, like, but there's still going to be, like, I'm crapping on him now. Okay, hold up. Summarizing the New England Patriots so we can move on here. They are a great team. Like, they have all the pieces there. The offseason drama with the head coach and the offseason drama with A.J. Brown potentially entering this team are the 2 biggest storylines, because if they start off slow, which the first 4 weeks will be a huge test. First 4 games are against playoff teams. If they start off 1-3, the conversations of like, oh, Mike Vrabel should have kept screwing Diana Rosani, or AJ Brown, what is not working out already? Like we're seeing the issues. Then the lights get way brighter. And this is a team, again, when you overachieve, all of a sudden the spotlight's on you. We see what happens to teams like that all the time. Like the Commanders didn't work out for them after they reached the conference championship in 24. And like part of that was injury. Part of that was just natural regression. So like there's a chance the Patriots, could just continue, run it back, make it to the Super Bowl again if everything works out. But there's also another chance that they regress, and they regress to being a good team, which is a double-digit win team. And if I'm the Patriots, I just hope to get to the playoffs with everyone healthy. So that's kind of my stance on why I think the Patriots, they're an interesting team. It's hard. Both the Eagles and the Patriots, they're connected this year, and you can't think about one without focusing on the other. That's just kind of because of the impact of AJ Brown, who he was, what he's done, and who he is. He's a top 10 player in the league, and that's just like he gets the respect.
The drama to me is going to be the thing that we need to keep an eye on because, like
Yeah.
you said, it can boil over quick. I mean, we've seen it so many times before where drama, for whatever reason, boils in from the off season into the regular season, and then couple losses, it rears its ugly head, and you're looking at a really bad season. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think they got to start off hot if they want to punch their ticket back to a high playoff seed. But yeah, like I said, I got them 10-7. So
yeah. So then when we move on to the Bills here, we both have them winning. Maybe the Bills have pretty privilege. Maybe it's those ugly ass jersey in the new stadiums that's been going on.
Ugly.
Their aura's gone down in the offseason. It's definitely not good. But I mean, when you look at the team, they're happy with DJ Moore, who they added in a trade. They got Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
They got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, D. Alford, and they drafted TJ Parker, that defensive end, the outside linebacker. So they lost a lot of pieces, but a lot of these guys are old. They were hurt all the time, so it wasn't like this was part of the change that needed to happen, right? And this is the first full year of Ken Dorsey now that Sean McDermott got let go, and they also changed their defensive coordinator too. So this is going to be an interesting stretch for Josh Allen and James Cook. I think people forget James Cook led the league in rushing last year. So for those who didn't think Josh had enough help, I mean, when you have the league's leading rusher, I mean, you ask Jalen Hurts, I think you can, having that really is helpful. So I think that James Cook is going to continue to succeed. That offensive line is still very solid. They still have all the bones there. I think DJ Moore will make them better because he's not he's an alpha wide receiver, but he's not that alpha of a wide receiver. So I think he's kind of that perfect mix for Josh. I just think that Josh is going to have that chip on his shoulder. He has a lot to prove. He needs to not shoot himself in the foot in the playoffs, but they've been a 12 win team since, for the past 5 years. And I just don't expect that to change when, the bones of this roster is still all there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my focus is honestly on the defensive side of the football for them. And the reason I say that is because the reliable side is the offensive side. You know that the Bills are going to put up the offense and the numbers, but there's no question the amount of talent that they have on defense as well. They have enough talent on the field to be a tough unit, especially like you said, adding Bradley Chubb and CJ Gardner-Johnson. They were already the best pass defense in the NFL last year. They were the best defense against the pass in the NFL last year. Mm-hmm. Now they add two guys that are only going to potentially, if they stay healthy and everything goes right, add to that. So this is a stacked unit. This is a team who, if they don't win their division, it's an underachieve. And if they don't make it past a wild card or a divisional, it is an underachieve. Honestly, at this point, I don't even think you can look at the conference, them getting to a conference game and losing as a win for them. Yeah, because that's been the goalpost for them to get past. It's just make it to a Super Bowl, and then let's see what happens from there.
Yeah, the conversation with Lamar and Allen is can they get there? That's the last step they need is can they get there? Yep. And same with guys in the NFC like Dak and things like that too. You have to at some point. Being awesome in the regular season is fun and all, but if you're just going to keep losing in the second round, a la Chris Paul, it's just not a fun experience. You just never know what you're going to be until you get to the end. And I feel he's running out of opportunities to to be this level of Josh Allen. He only has 4 more years of this physical running prime before he has to change his game into a more passing driven style, and I just don't know. I don't know how many more chances he's going to get.
Yeah.
So I think that's it on the AFC East. So let's pivot on over to the AFC West. So let us pull up the numbers here. When we look at the AFC West last year, it was the Broncos who went 14-3, and then we got the Chargers at 11-6. The Chiefs were 6-11, and the Raiders were 3-14. So an interesting year for this division. And when we look at we hear the rankings, right? This is what happened last year. Now this year, it's interesting to see when we look at the betting odds. We got the Kansas City Chiefs sitting up there as the favorites at plus 160, which I think is wild, and we'll have this conversation. Then we got the LA Chargers in second at plus 190, the Denver Broncos right there at plus 225, and then the Raiders, the distant fourth at plus 2,000. So they think it's going to be close, right? But the Chiefs are favored. I don't understand this. So I want to hear.
come on.
I want to hear yours first. What are your 4 for the AFC West?
So my division winner is the Broncos at 11-6.
Okay.
Then I've got the Chargers at 10-7.
Okay.
Then I've got the Chiefs at 9-8, and then the Raiders at 5-12.
Okay. I was expecting more for the Raiders. Okay, cool. So then when we go to mine, I have the Broncos winning as well. We have the same 4 in the same order. So Broncos, I have them at 13-3 this year. Same. I have them as 13-3.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right,
I have them 13-3. So we'll talk about that. And what was next? I had the Chargers. I have them at 9-8, and then I have the Chiefs at 8-9. And I think, and then I had the Raiders. I actually had them at 5-12 too, but I thought you were going to have them at a higher level. Man, I really want to get. We'll get there in a second. But the Raiders, obviously, they have had they've had some interesting storylines this offseason with Max Crosby, leaving, getting traded, coming back. And they also had just a slew of moves. And, you got a couple fan favorites of our own, like Nakobe Dean. And then we got Spencer Burford hanging out there, Keedy Payne, Tyler Linderbaum, Quay Walker. And obviously the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. Mm-hmm. And he has a veteran as well in Kirk Cousins. An interesting team. And they also have a new head coach, Clint Kubiak, and a new defensive coordinator, Rob Leonard. So a new look Raiders team with the number 1 overall pick, who might not actually be playing week 1. I think they're going to run with Kirk for a little bit.
They are.
Which I guess is fine, go off Kirk O'Chains, it'll be fine. Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, they have pieces here. I think the Raiders, lucked into the Mendoza. They'll have the opportunity to still be bad this year, but let Mendoza grow midway through the season. They might get him through, but the problem is the easiest stretch is kind of towards the beginning of the year. So it would almost benefit them to just let them run before the schedule gets harder. But whatever. But Raiders, I don't have too much to say. I think they're going to be scrappy. I think they're going to be much more competitive. I think that they got a lot more leaders on that team, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Agreed.
To pair alongside with Max. So I think that defense is actually going to be very scrappy. I love Nakobe. I believe in his leadership as the middle. And Quay Walker's been great for Green Bay over the years. So I think that it'll be I think they have a really interesting unit, and the offense is just a work in progress. And it's going to be hard to gauge until Fernando gets there. I don't really care until Fernando gets there. Anything Kirk does is cool, whatever. If you win a game, great. But then we're just, we're waiting until Mendoza takes his first snap. So that's kind of how I feel.
It's funny to me because I haven't been watching the Raiders training camp by any stretch, but I've seen some comparison videos between Kirk running some individual drills versus Mendoza running the same drill. And the difference is huge.
In athleticism?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense why they decided that Kirk is the guy out the gate. Now, I understand there's a level of it where it's you don't, sometimes it's a bad thing, depending on the situation, to just throw your QB out there, your brand new QB, and basically let him get eaten up by the wolves. And in this case, that might be the case where it's we throw Mendoza out there and he's going to get destroyed because we don't have an offensive line. But he's also a hell of a lot more athletic. You don't think Kirk's going to go down and get crunched?
Exactly.
And then it's for sure Mendoza time. So there is going to be a point this season where Fernando Mendoza is starting, whether it be a forced decision or just it's time kind of a decision. I'm pissed that they keep wasting these Max Crosby years because he is a generational talent. And just when I thought that he had escaped football hell, he ends up right back on the same team. He bleeds silver and black. It's hard to see him in a jersey that isn't a Raiders jersey, but it is damn hard to see him continuously be the far and away best player on that team and nothing come close to it and nothing to show for it. So it's frustrating. But Brock Bowers, hell of a piece. Ashton Genty, hell of a piece. Mendoza, once he gets going, I think is going to be a hell of a piece. The Tyler Lindenbaum strengthens that front line for them.
Oh, yeah.
So there's pieces there for sure. But where I'm stuck with this record is they see the NFC West, they see the Bills, they see the Patriots, in addition to their tough divisional battles. Yeah. So it's how much love did they get from a scheduling standpoint, and can they take advantage of it? Probably not.
Yeah, it's so funny how the worst teams always have the hardest schedules. But yeah, no, I think the The Raiders will be an interesting one. What weird, when you mentioned Max Crosby, I thought of an NBA comparison for him. Let me know if you agree real quick, just sidebar. Max Crosby kind of reminds me of DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Like a player that's just like he bleeds for the fans kind of situation, right? Loves it. He was drafted there. Great situation.
He's a
Not
dog.
really. But he's an absolute dog, one of the best at his positions. And the team which continues to not do anything for him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. So that was fun. Okay. So then the next team. So we both had the Chiefs in third, which is great. Obviously, both of our teams have a very fun and personal connection with the Chiefs. And so the conversation is, how the hell are they favored to win the division? I think it's just off of aura alone, honestly, like just off of pedigree and resume. Because I'm the QB wins guy. Mahomes, 60-60, I own that shit. Like it's fine for those who get the reference. But like he's coming off of an ACL tear.
Yep.
Feels kind of rushed back, even though, modern medicine, I trust Mahomes, like it's his own body, his choice, whatever. They just can't get out of like criminal charges. Like Rashee Rice was in jail for 30 days. Eric Bieniemy's son shot his mom. Like that was crazy. That happened recently, and Eric Bieniemy's back. Like hopefully, thoughts and prayers to his family type of, like I hope that his wife is okay. Obviously, she is okay, but like it's crazy. That
They're the
kind of
Georgia
situation.
of the NFL.
Yeah, it is. Not to mention, like you look at their roster and it's not that good. Like you're telling me, like dad bod Kelsey, and they were talking about this guy. There's this. I put him on here specifically on this thing because pick number 176 of this draft, Cyrus Allen, their wide receiver.
Yeah.
They have been raving about this kid in camp, but Xavier Worthy's hurt. Rashee Rice, coming off of his injury and prison time, looks slow, doesn't look healthy. And they did bring Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker into the fold to maybe get. He's never had a running back. Patrick Mahomes has never really had a running game that existed, right? So maybe the argument could be Mahomes isn't going to have to do as much this year. Kenneth Walker is going to show that he's like the main back that he wants to be. Andy Reid's actually going to run the ball, but that doesn't make me think that they're going to win the division,
right.
And they lost so many pieces. Like they've overhauled this entire defense. They gave Trent McDuffie away, but they brought Mansour Delane. I really like that pick for them. Overall, they drafted really well. Like they got Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas, and they brought back L'Jarius Sneed. Is always good, familiar faces coming back home. But I don't think it's enough. I think there's too much happening here, and to just expect the Chiefs to come back and be a coalesced unit that's perfect and running. I just don't see it. I mean, the clip of the offseason for the Chiefs was Mahomes throwing it off the back of his center's head when no one was standing in front of him. No one was there. So it was it feels like there's a chance that this whole Chiefs season underwhelms. Mahomes still needs time to recover. Travis Kelce gets numbers in his last year to become the all-time, type of guy. But I don't really see it.
The key here is that they have the third place schedule. I mean, that's what's going to keep their season alive, because I agree with you. I don't think that they have a plethora of pieces on either side of the ball that's going to keep them, as a perennial contender by any stretch. So, yeah, I mean, the Patrick Mahomes and the knee thing, again, like you said, modern medicine, he probably is. I mean, he's a full go at practice.
Yeah, he's running around and stuff.
He is. You do see the difference in his knee, and there's been throwing motions that people have questioned, but this is all over-analyzing bullshit. For me, dude, it's when is Travis Kelce Swift going to hang it up?
Yeah.
This is there's a guy that just... I don't know. I don't think that Kelce and Mahomes have the same, and Reed have the same aura that they did even just 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I think a lot of that was lost when you guys mopped the floor with them in the Super Bowl. Really, I think that in a lot of ways that ended that that dynasty run. I think now it's a matter of getting back to, a building point. And I think they made a great move by getting Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker was the best signing that they could have gotten at that position. So getting him was, especially on Mahomes coming back from that knee thing, it gives him time to kind of run things through on the ground and just rely on that a little bit. But the only thing that's going to keep them alive, in my opinion, is that third place schedule. Like,
Yeah.
aside from that, they're not going to be that great of a team.
And the question is, like, the question for Mahomes this past couple of years has been his own line play too. It has been underwhelming.
Yeah, it's sus.
So will that improve at all? And that's something that, man, I just, this team, yeah, definitely is not the same level. They're working back, but I don't know if they're ever going to hit that dynasty level team that they were. I think, yeah, that definitely ended after the Eagles game, but I think that they will remain competitive, and I'm really curious to see the Patrick Mahomes of it all. I really want to know. I am curious to see how he comes back. But even these past couple of years, how he approaches the game has definitely trended differently. That he's not throwing as far as he normally has before. He's getting the ball out quicker, almost check down merchanting it a little bit more. And I am curious with Kenneth, does he do that more often? So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting year for the Chiefs. But no, I don't think they're going to do it. So I want to talk about the Chargers.
Let's do it. BTB pod. What was it? BTB team.
The first official third team of the BTB pod. Yeah. I still hated it. I can't do it, dude. I hate the Chargers. I don't know why, bro. I can't do the Chargers.
I know why.
Well,
it's their quarterback.
No, I mean Justin Beer, man. He's gonna be a really happy man. I think if you look at the key additions, you can't rule out Madison Beer here.
No.
I think this is really important. She's gonna level him, keep him. He got a ring. Everybody, he's getting a ring. But it's not the ring that we were hoping for. But, the Chargers are interesting. I've seen clips from Chargers camp. And I'm starting to turn into the guy who doesn't like Mike McDaniel. Like, he dresses the part of the city or the state that he's in. He's the perfect California-looking guy.
Yes.
He dresses like the stonerest guy like I've ever seen. And I saw this video where he was, where Herbert made this nice play, threw the ball super deep, and like McDaniel's just glazing him. Like I was like, bro, I know you're the hype man and everything. Like I know that's his thing. Like especially like his connection. So like maybe that's good for Justin. Like he needs a creative mind to expand. But like Justin Herbert is very much in the boat of how many more excuses are we going to freaking give this guy?
Yeah.
And he has one. They built one in this year for the Chargers where they gave them the worst rest disadvantage by far. The Eagles are second place, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But, like, they're minus 24.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's, like, top 5 all-time worst rest disadvantage for any team in the NFL.
The next closest is the Eagles.
At minus 15.
Minus 15.
So the gap is...
It's a 9-game gap. Or 9
crazy.
Gap.
So the Chargers did get screwed a little bit here. So I don't want to say like, oh, we can't be like, oh, the schedule was so easy on one side.
It's not nothing.
And then diminish potentially, the rest disadvantage. Niners got screwed with rest disadvantage. Eagles got screwed in 2023. The collapse was very much because of the rest disadvantage stuff. So like I buy into that stuff.
Yeah.
But when we talk about Herbert the player, the team around him, they brought in David Njoku. I'm really excited for that. I hate that they got it, a player that talented. But the wide receiver core is interesting. They lose Keenan Allen. You still have Ladd. Quentin Johnson is still up and down with the fans of, how many balls does he drop type of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't know what's left to blame because you bring in offensive line help. You got Cole Strange, Tyler Biotish. Like, I'm tired of the excuses that he gets. I'm tired of the excuses that Allen gets. Not to mention Herbert's an all-time awful playoff performer.
Yeah, he's terrible.
So, you know what? The offensive line holds together this year. I don't want to hear a single freaking excuse. But like on a paper, on a roster perspective, they're a talented enough team. Harbaugh's a good enough coach. Like they're always consistent. Harbaugh doesn't lose. Like I put them at 8-9. Or I put them at 9-8 because Harbaugh doesn't lose, so I want to give him, at least that kind of respect. But I don't know how this is a very boomer bust team. Like if everything hits with Mike McDaniel and him and Justin Herbert create this connection, and Herbert has like a career year, which would be like an MVP level year, then you get to respect that, and then he has to prove it in the playoffs. But I don't know, man.
There's definitely going to be an adjustment period for the first few weeks of the season, and it has to happen quick.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, so I mean they obviously brought in Mike McDaniel, and I agree with your take. I love Mike McDaniel though. But then their former defensive coordinator Jesse Minter is now with the Ravens as their coach.
Yes. Good
and
point.
so And so they're dealing with a new offensive coordinator. They're dealing with a new defensive coordinator. The Chargers, they see between weeks 3 and 10, they'll see 5 playoff teams from 2025. Add on top of that, the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Right.
So when I say that this adjustment period needs to happen quick, I mean it needs to happen in the first 2 to 3 weeks. Because if it doesn't, and you drop a few games at the beginning, you could run into some serious trouble here pretty quickly in the season. So I'm going to be curious to see out the gate what this team looks like. And granted, they have the talent to be more than competitive. They have the talent to be a damn good football team this year. But that schedule, and specifically weeks 3 to 10, is where things can get dicey for me. And I think that part of my, I have them genuinely between their floor and their ceiling. Like I said, I have them 10-7. I can see them winning 12 games.
Yeah.
I really can. I can also see them winning 8 games. So, and again, that's like the floor. So we'll see. It depends solely on this weeks 3 to 10 and what they look like, and if they're adjusted to all these new coordinators.
Yeah, absolutely. So then when we pivot to the Broncos, we both have them winning the division. You said 12-5. I said 13-3. Or
I said 11-6.
11-6. Sorry.
Yeah.
So 11-6, and I had them 13-4. I said 13-3 earlier. So 13-4. Last year they finished 14-3. They were the number 1 seed in the conference, and they beat the Bills in a crazy game. The interception game, the 4 turnover game for Allen. Bo Nix played I believe he played that last little bit on the broken ankle.
Yep.
But then he broke his ankle.
Right at the end.
Right at the end. And he didn't get the chance to play in the conference title game in a game that, when you look at it in hindsight, when you look at the score and how everything played out in the game, if Bo Nix was in that game, you feel confident that the Denver Broncos actually win that game pretty easy.
Yes.
So missed opportunity, and I feel that this year, I think they stay consistent. Their defense travels. The only thing that's questionable in their defense is Jonathan Cooper, who is facing charges right now for it is a domestic dispute, but the guy swallowed cell phones like this. People are freaking crazy. I don't understand some of these dudes, right? CTE goes nuts, but they still have Nick Bonito, they still have Zach Allen, they still have Pat Surtain, they still have pieces all up and down that roster,
everywhere,
offense and defense. Not to mention you bring in Jalen Waddle, the best number 2. So this is the best duo that Bo Nix has had. He's healthy. They said he's a full go at camp, so he's back. So we can talk how's he going to feel? It's a broken ankle. It's not like a tendon, so it's a little different, right? So, you lose, guys and their losses are minimal. Like Justin Simmons, huge loss, retiring. Shout out him, awesome career. But Dre Greenlaw wasn't really a part of the team.
No,
and
he was injured most part.
And John Franklin Myers was good, but they can handle him not being there anymore. So, they do have a new offensive coordinator, but it is Sean Payton who calls the play. Davis Webb is a former player. He kind of has that Sean Mannion track to him, the potential genius, up and coming guy. So, I trust Sean Payton. I hate Sean Payton, but I trust him. He's one of the best coaches right now.
Yep.
This team, I think Bo's going to get. I think Bo is so weird. He's like the white Jalen Hurts to me. He needs the system to help him. Like Sean Payton helps him, so I think that's important. Like Sean Payton gives him the easy buttons, but you just ask Bo not to mess up the game. Don't turn the ball over, and he's effective in the run as well. So you have Bo who can and they had moments where they had crazy comebacks last year. So I think that part of the chance of their regression this year is they had that crazy comeback against the Eagles, the crazy comeback against the Giants. They had games where they had no business winning.
They were 11-2 in one-score games.
So that doesn't happen every year. So there is a very good chance that they do fall to an 11-6. But I think that that's their floor. I think that they are still one of the best teams in the conference. I think that there's a very good chance they'll have the opportunity to at least get back to the conference title game this year. So that's how I feel about the Broncos.
Yeah, and I do have them at their floor, and a lot of that is in like we just said, the 11-6. But a lot of that is to do with that 11-2 in the one-score games.
Yeah, we saw that. We see that a lot.
We do see that a lot. And look, I mean, offensive line, it looks pretty nice. You got all pros, Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners in there. You added, like you said, the explosive receiver in Jalen Waddle. Defensively, you're bringing back the same unit for the most part. There are studs everywhere up and down this roster, and I think that when you factor in the coaching that they have, just the solidity in the coaching that they have, it's consistent. You rely on it. There's so many factors to why Denver feels like a comfy team to rely on being one of the favorites in the AFC. They're not my winners of the AFC. The Ravens are my winners, but
That's crazy to me.
But
we'll talk about that.
I mean, yeah, but Denver to me, I think they have the best roster. It's just a matter of like, I just see a slight regression.
No, that's fair. And you know what? I see that too, but I buy that their defense is good enough. And I did see that J.K. Dobbins did get hurt too. Like, so
that's right.
That sucks.
That's right.
And he was like, he literally went on a podcast or like responded to someone's comments like, I'm going to play all 17 games. And I'm like, no, bro. I love that stuff. But no, I think the Broncos they're like the consistent team of the division right now.
Yeah.
They're the team that can kind of just pick up where they left off, and they add Jalen Waddle. I feel pretty good about that. If Waddle stays healthy, he's going to benefit from, having Cortland Sutton. Like they'll be able to pick up where they left off, I think.
Yeah.
So, we do have a final thought. So those were our predictions for the AFC East and the AFC West. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys agree with our picks? We picked the same teams. We're kind of on the same wavelength here. This is interesting for so far in the AFC. We're kind of in lockstep. I know in the playoffs it's going to be a little different. We're going to have different teams in different spots, but it feels like some of the same teams are getting in there for us. But let's pivot on to our final thought, and we got to go NBA related just for a last second thing because news came out today that the one, the only, Russell Westbrook has retired from the NBA. He announced it today. There was reports he had offers from the Wizards and the Kings to return to both of those teams. He even got an offer from Tel Aviv, one of those one of the Middle Eastern teams to play over there. But he ultimately decided to go out on his own terms, go out as the triple-double king, and leave the NBA without a ring, unfortunately. So Ben, I want to turn to you. He's a player that defined our generation, one of the guys we got to grow up with, and watch him grow. So how do you feel about Russell Westbrook retiring?
It's tough, man. It really is. I mean, when you and I started really kicking off our friendship, you were a big KD guy. I was a big Russell Westbrook guy, and I think that 1-2 combo was a lot of like what you and I had going. So like, there's a level of like, love that I have of that. But during that stretch of dominant basketball for Russell Westbrook, the Kings were awful. And I was at an age where like you just want to see winning and you want to see like fun consistently. You don't want to watch a shitty team. You know what I mean? When you're a younger kid. And so I started looking around the NBA a little bit more, and that was when I found Russell Westbrook, this just explosive player, night in and night out, just doing everything. And I quite honestly fell in love with his game. And from then on, for 16 of his 18 years of his career, he's been my favorite player. Like I have been in lock with Russell Westbrook. I was hyped when he came to Sacramento. Didn't anticipate it being his last season. I did think he'd probably only do a 1 year here and move on, but I didn't expect it to be his last season. But it was an honor to have followed him.
Yes. There will always be Westbrook Sacramento Kings jerseys now.
I mean, NBA Most Valuable Player in 2017.
Craziest year, man.
9-time All-NBA selections. NBA All-Star 9 times. All-Star Game MVP 2 times. Scoring champion in 2015 and 2017. Assist leader in 2018, 19, and 21. 75th anniversary team named to the elite team in 2021. Olympic gold medals in 2012 and then the 2010 FIBA World Championship. He's an all-time triple-double leader, most triple-doubles in a single season, most consecutive triple-doubles, logged at 11 straight games, averaged a triple-double for an entire season, elite all-time ranks. I mean, this is an all-timer, dude. Like, I'm genuinely freaking heartbroken that he is retired. Because I was talking to Daniela about it, my girlfriend, and I said to her today, because she called me on her lunch, I was like, Russell Westbrook just retired. And she was like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Because she knows what he means to me. Like, This is a dude who I have watched for years, and I love Russell Westbrook. But he, like, aside from the championship, he has done everything and more in his career and has solidified himself as one of the greats to play that position. So hats off to Russell Westbrook, man.
Absolutely. One of the best to never win a ring for sure. He was part of the reason, throughout my senior year of high school, I wore glasses with no lenses and jean shorts. I rocked his style. Russell Westbrook was definitely one of a kind, an innovator, a fashion icon.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely set the stage for a lot of how these guards that we see today operate, especially from their creative side of things. And Russ, one of a kind basketball player. Sad that we're not going to be able to see him anymore. But no, it was cool that he got to stop in Sacramento. But yeah, one of a kind, especially his MVP year. Like, that was one of the most fun seasons I ever got to see. Crazy. Yeah. So there will never be another player like him. I hope off of those accolades alone, he's Insta Hall of Fame lock, and he deserves that at least. I think that storied career. So shout out Russ, we appreciate you, brother. Good, congratulations on an insane career, and you will always be remembered. You will always be in the archives. You'll always be in the highlights. Check out the Russell Westbrook highlights; it'll be great. All right, guys. So I think that'll be it, unless you had some final thoughts here, Benny.
No.
All right, guys. With that being said, this was episode 135 of the Behind the Back podcast. You can hit us up at behindthebackpod13@gmail.com for all y'all audio listeners. The links to the description are down below, but all y'all watching on YouTube right now, the links to our socials are right here in front of you. Please give us a like, subscribe, rate, review, and follow the show. We appreciate all the love and support as we grow each and every single week as we get closer to the season of the NFL and the NBA. We found out NBA news was way more news, but this pod's an hour 15 already. We can get to that later. The NBA doesn't start for a couple months, so we don't need to get too hyped about it. But I am Marcos Conan-Grown. Beside me here, as always, is
Ben the Jet Ritz.
All right, guys, we love y'all. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace.